Here. Thank you. All righty. A couple of things here. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's December 2nd, 2022. Hard to believe we've already gone 11 months in the year. 1 month to go this year. All right. Here we go. Our agenda this morning, we'll start out with success stories. We'll then have everybody put their 30-second introductions in the chat window. For those people that are here in person, we'll let them do their 30-second introduction. We will then have our committee reports. We'll hear about workshop, job fairs, the practice interview team, the interview success workshop. We will hear about the career tip of the week. And then we'll do our main event, which today happens to be open forum. We'll answer whatever questions you have about your job search. For those watching on Zoom this morning, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you're welcome to either unmute your mic and just ask away when we get to that, or if you can enter your information into the chat window. For those watching on Facebook, if you have any questions, just enter your questions in the comment field, and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. This group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader got a job and said who wanted to take over, and somehow I got selected. In 2008, I saw a need for creating a website called careerdfw.org, a place for everybody who is unemployed to find everything they need to know about their job search and to put it in one place to make it easy for people who are in job search. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org, a website to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search that you may not know. It is available on Amazon. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the Dallas Pick Crew. If you've I always like to say that your resume or your LinkedIn profile doesn't get you a job. It may get you a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. So we like to start the meeting off with good news, success stories. Anybody out there? Do we have any landings to announce? Any good news? Anything? I know the jobs report came out this morning, 260,000 people employed, which is much higher than expected. Which is, okay, hold on. Here's Walt's got one for us.
Well, good morning, everyone. Walt Glass here. Idia is not here, and I'm glad she's not, because I'm going to try to pronounce her last name, and it probably won't be right. Itokopie. Anyway, she landed as a learning business partner. She's withholding the name of the company right now because she's got a few other things to do before she announces that publicly. She found the job through a referral from a friend. How often have we heard about that, right? I applied in August, 4 rounds of interviews, and received an offer in November. She starts this month, sometime this month. The star stories were very helpful, she said, in her interviewing, and the pause. I really like to sell the pause hard, but the pause, which let her stop and think and gather her thoughts, was very positive for her interviewing. And she has some recommendations. Be sure to research your interviewers prior to the interview using LinkedIn or any other resources. She said that helped her really a lot in making a connection with her hiring manager. And so that was Idia's landing today. Congratulations, Idia.
Great. Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right. We will move on here. All right. It's time to everybody put their 30-second introductions into the chat window. Please put in your name, comma, phone, comma, email address, comma, positions you're looking for, comma, 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. I will put all this information out to everybody in an email this afternoon. And we ask that you go through and look over that list and see who can you help, who else is on the do you have contacts at any one of the companies that people are asking about? Because this is a great way to help somebody, and you never know. Most jobs are found through networking, how somebody knows somebody else. So if you can do that, that would be appreciated. I also will use this to update the roster. So the only way I know you're here is if you put your name and information into the chat window today. So let me put 30 seconds on the clock for everybody. All right, if you're still typing away, please go right ahead and keep putting your information in there. Let's see here. Let's go to the next slide. All right, what we want to do is allow the people here with us today to give their 30-second introductions, those that are here in person. So let me bring them up so you can see who they are. Hold on just one second. Let me spotlight. There we go. And go right ahead. You can be seen.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is David Carey. I am an experienced talent development leader looking for a VP or director position with an organization of about 1,000 employees or more. I help organizations achieve success by aligning their learning strategy with organizational priorities. My target companies for today are USAA and Deloitte. And again, my name is David Carey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. And we'll hear from Walt in just a moment. All righty. So please, we'd really love you to come here and meet in person, because the nice thing about meeting in person, being here with us, is that we get to find out more about who you really are. So hopefully you'll think about coming and joining us here in person. We'd really, really appreciate it. All right, a couple websites. I mean, I'm sure by now most everybody knows about Career DFW and careerusa.org, two totally free websites. They don't collect any personal information. They're just there to help you in your job search. So if you know somebody who was recently unemployed, you know somebody who's recently laid off, please let them know about the websites. Let them know about our sessions that we're putting on 4 days a week. We'd really, really appreciate it. One of the things that you'll find on the Career DFW website for those who live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are calendars, and we have one giant calendar, and then there's a lot of sub-calendars. Each one of the different colors is something different. All the gold things on the calendar are special workshops. The pink are job fairs. Blue are the meetings or meeting in person in the DFW area that we're aware of. All the purple are webinars and things that are going on. So we'd really like, if you know somebody who's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and even if you're not in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you can check out the webinar calendar, because you can attend any one of these sessions that are going on 5 days a week. You'll see there all the purple that are on the calendar. All right, let me talk a little bit about the practice interview team, the Dallas Pit Crew. Number one, it's totally free. This is a great way to practice your interviewing skills. As I said before, your resume, your LinkedIn profile is not going to get you a job, but what it will do is it will get you a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's going to get you your next job. One of the mottos they have is, practice early, practice often. This is very important. Don't wait until you have an interview and call up and say, I got an interview in 2 days. Can you give me a practice interview? That's not enough time for the group to get together, and you're not going to learn a lot, because in 2 days beforehand, you should be focusing on researching and planning for that interview. So practice before you have the interview. You don't have to have a current job that you're interviewing with. Just find a job description on the internet, send that in along with the resume, and then you're scheduled 2 to 4 days out, because they want to give them a little bit of time to do it. The interviewers have all been hiring managers. There's a group of about 30 people who will look at your information, and 2 or 3 people will go and say, yes, I'll do that. I'll interview that candidate. This is a great way to practice your interviewing skills. They will be panel discussions. It's about a 45-minute interview and then 15 to 30 minutes of discussion afterwards. And you don't get feedback and discussion any other way. So if you're interested in doing one, just send a resume and a job description and your schedule 2 to 4 days out. Send it to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and they will schedule an interview with you. Also, if you'd like to schedule a one-way interview, you can send your request to Walt Glass or myself. A one-way interview, very interesting. You're just sitting here talking to the camera on your computer. There's nobody else in the room unless you invite them in to listen to you. And you have to answer the question that pops up on the computer screen and then give the answer. And sometimes you can sometimes you can redo the answer, sometimes you can't. It depends on how each one's set up. My set of questions are set up differently than Walt's set of questions. So you're welcome to do this multiple times. So just reach out to us. We'll send you the link. You go and you do it. Once the interview is over, once you've completed it, we're notified, but then we don't go and look at it. All we do is we'll get the link and send it back to you so that you can go and watch your interview so you can evaluate how well you do. So if you want a one-way interview, it's very interesting, very, very different. Please feel free to reach out to Walt or myself. All right, time to hear about the Interview Success Workshop. Good morning, Walt.
Well, good morning again, everyone. I am tired of looking into the camera. I would love to have people come down and let's visit and let's talk even in before and after the meeting. Very, very worthwhile. But yep, we need to look at the camera when we are interviewing. One of the major things that's different. That's how we make a connection. So what is the Interview Success Workshop and how does that differ from the Pit Crew, which I hardly recommend as well? It's a very informal session. It's not meant to be a mock interview at all. We're going to cover 12 basic categories of questions. We're going to discuss who we are, what we do, and how we can help. The three elements of what companies are buying today. I see a lot of interviews where the I do is about 90% of it, a little bit on the I ams, and almost none on the value that I bring, which is the major thing we want to sell. So how do we do that in an interview? Well, you have to be registered to attend. Only do 1 to 2 people at a time. It's very easy to register. Just send an email to my walt_glass@yahoo.com email. Check me out on my LinkedIn website. It's got the information there as well. So you can send me an email and say, when can I get scheduled? And we'll talk about some available dates and get you scheduled. So what's the main thing about it? Well, it's meant to be a learning situation, just to learn to improve our skills. We're going to focus on the learning aspect, and we'll talk about options, strategies, structures, ways that we might answer a question depending on who the question is, who's asking, and where you are in the process. So I don't like telling people what to do. I just give you options. I give you some suggestions. And as we all are going to do anyway, we're going to choose what we think is best for us. And I think I can provide great value if you've been doing this for quite a while now. I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. Be glad to have you come participate. And we can have a little bit of fun as we're going through our learning process as well. No need to have stress and anxiety. Call it learning without squirming. Well, it's with my heart's intention. Once again, practice interviewing. I mentioned, don't wait, don't delay, come practice today and get the hiring manager's attention.
Oh, wow. What's going on? My applause are not working today. I don't know what happened here. Man. All right. Well, we'll just applaud by manually. Sorry. For some reason, my applause are not working today. I don't know what's going on. Oh, no. Oh, no. Microsoft PowerPoint is dying. All right, everybody. Hold on just 1 second. Let's see here. And give me a second. Close. Come on. Here we go. Share screen. Okay. Close your eyes for a second. Oops. Okay. All right. It's time. Now we're ready to go. Sorry about that. We're ready to hear the career tip of the week. So there's a new tip every week on the website. It's every Saturday afternoon, a new tip pops up. Good morning, Rosanna. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for reading the tip this week.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everyone. All right, this week's tip of the week is dated 11/26/22, and it's why the last candidate to be considered may be the least likely to be hired. Recruiters typically interview job candidates one after another, but some research suggests that interviewees might want to avoid being the last person evaluated. When we evaluate others serially, we are likely, without realizing it, to give a harsher description of the person who comes last. In a series of experiments, they find that people tend to describe the individuals at the top of the list more positively and then are more likely to focus on the negative characteristics of those at the bottom. This phenomenon could have important implications in a range of social and business settings, potentially including job interviews. The same issues may apply as we consider whom to ask out on a date or what social media posts to focus on. And so while researchers say that they aren't ready to declare it a serial killer effect, one that could kill the chances of a person in a series, they acknowledge that the bias could have negative consequences. So Koch, Bromley, Wutzel, and Alves, they conducted 5 experiments involving Facebook profile pictures. In one, they asked participants to describe a series of 20 people with one word on the basis of their profile photo. Each participant got a different subset from 1,000 pictures and a different random order for viewing them. Participants' descriptions became more increasingly negative and increasingly distinct as they got further into the series of images, as the researchers observed. Other experiments indicated that someone's positive traits could lessen the effect. When a photo of people with distinct positive traits were positioned late in the series, the effect didn't hold, but it was amplified for people who had distinct negative traits. So positive traits were conveyed in a picture of a student graduating with honors, for example, or a playful museum goer, while negative traits came across in pictures that included a person making rude gestures at the camera. The study capitalizes not only on massive Facebook database of profile pictures, but on advances in machine learning. In the past, researchers could provide participants with a list of ways to describe someone, and they'd have to fill in a bubble to pick one. Now scientists can study how participants communicate their reactions, and an algorithm can rate their words. Participants gave harsher descriptions of the later photos they saw because essentially they ran out of nice things to say. Say you meet someone at a dinner party or later on want to describe them to your partner. To offer something unique about everyone, you'll describe a feature of the second person that you didn't focus on in the first, and something about the third person that you didn't mention for the first or second, and so on. You can see how the last person in the series, a set of possible things be described still while you're providing new information, and that has gotten considerably smaller. He combines this understanding with a theory from a paper that he published, that there are many more ways to be negative than there are to be positive. Consider the temperature, for example. The range of temperatures most people enjoy is relatively small, and there's a much broader range of uncomfortable temperatures, from life-threatening cold to life-threatening hot. In a previous paper, Koch and his colleagues found a similar phenomenon with positive versus negative words across a range of languages that they tested. And there are many more ways to describe something or someone negatively than there are ways to do so positively. Because we want to provide useful information on the people that we meet, we look for unique words to describe them. And when our list of positive words runs out, we focus on the negative. So you'll probably witness positive features, but you just won't store that person in your own memory under those features. And you won't communicate those features because they're not new. So the last person on your list gets the short end of the stick. So from a recruiter's perspective, this article sounds like it's advising job seekers not to be the last in an interview or in an interview series, if you can help it. So when the recruiter moves you forward to the interview, you may need to ask some questions about when the interviews may have began, plan to end, and the decision time frame, so that you can appropriately schedule yourself in the process. All right, well, to reread this article or this tip of the week, it's dated 11/26. Have a very great weekend, everyone.
Great. Thank you very, very much. It's one of the things that I remember hearing a long time ago is that you always want to be the last candidate so you can impress them and you'd be the one they remember most. Mm-hmm. So when I saw this article, I was like, well, this is an interesting concept. Let me just throw that out. So this will be a good topic. I'd like to talk about this more when we get to open forum today and talk about, what do you think? Do you like being the first, the last? Has it been beneficial or not? So save your thoughts here. We'll talk about that just coming up in just a couple moments. All right, today for lunch, hopefully some of you will come join us today. Get out of the house. I know it's a cloudy day here in Dallas, but come join us. We're going to go to Country Burger, 3115 West Parker Road. It's on the northwest corner of Parker and Independence. They've got burger, salad, and more. And if you want this hamburger you see on the side, you do have to bring your own ham. It's about $35, but they don't have ham, which you'll see on this photo, but they have everything else that they can put on there if you want a hamburger that big. All right, just a reminder, Career DFW and the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group are two different organizations. Career DFW is a website, 501c3 that I started back in 2008 to help unemployed people. The North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group has been meeting on Friday mornings since the late 1990s up here at Christ United Methodist Church at the corner of Parker and Independence in Plano. Great bunch of people. We'd love to have you come back and join us. They are totally two separate organizations. The common thread currently is that I happen to lead both. If you'd like to overthrow me here on Friday mornings and take over the Friday morning group, you're welcome to do so. Just let me know. But you're not going to get Career DFW out of my hands. All right, coming up in just a moment, we're going to do open forum. We'll talk about whatever questions you have about your job search. I do want to talk about our upcoming sessions. Next Friday, we're going to replay a session that we did this summer about the one-page bio. Minna Brown wrote a book called Be Sharp. I think it's really, really important, as if your job search is sort of slowing down, if you don't have a one-page bio, I think it's really a very valuable tool, something you should have. So we're going to replay her session from this summer next Friday. And then in 2 weeks, the very last session we're going to have for the year, Susan Holly will be with us to talk about taxes in 2022. Susan Holly is a senior tax consultant with H&R Block. She's been doing this for almost 25, 30 years, doing taxes for people. She's extremely knowledgeable. She has been our last speaker for the year now for, I think, 8 or 9 or maybe even 10 years. And she's going to talk about things you need to think about, things you need to prepare in 2022, things that may be different this tax year than the prior tax years. So that'll be our final speaker of the year on the 16th. And then the Friday before Christmas, the Friday before New Year's, we will not have meetings just because it's the Friday before Christmas and the Friday before New Year's. All right, it's time for open forum. We're going to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. So let me move a couple things around the screen here. We will stop sharing so we can see everybody. We'd love for you to turn on your camera so we can see everybody who's there. I see Lily and Ernesto and Rusty. Who else do I see? There's Anthony. Welcome, welcome. You can see the couple people that are here with us. So what do y'all want? What would y'all like to talk about? This is your session. You need to tell me what you want to talk about.
Jeff, I have a couple of questions. The first one might be easy. It's a technical LinkedIn question.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if anyone there or anyone on the Zoom call knows how to download a resume from LinkedIn so that you could use it on a site like JobScan. I've really struggled with LinkedIn getting information off of there because I'm not seeing the ability to download a resume. So curious as to if anyone has any tricks or success doing this.
Are you saying downloading your own resume or someone else's?
No, I'm sorry, not a resume, a job description. My mistake.
Oh, so you're having how to download a job description off of...
Job description, yeah, my mistake, sorry. Anyone?
Anyone? I don't know.
Bueller?
I literally copy, paste. So I go to print, right click and say print. And then I print it. And of course, invariably the last few pages will be all kinds of stuff we don't even need for the job description. So, I mean, I don't want it to hog space on my hard drive. So I select the number of pages. And then also there's some kind of stuff at the bottom of each page gets, I mean, it's not because there's some kind of overlapping, it's messed up. So I take one more by putting it in landscape and then print those pages that weren't clear, you know what I mean? So you have the full picture. That's what I've been doing.
So you're printing it or you're saving like a screen capture?
I used to save, no, I don't save. That's way too much more space and it doesn't always work. I've found this an easier way. I mean, if it's only for your information and you're not trying to prove anything to him, which I doubt.
Well, what I'm trying to do is be able to export all of the text and put it into something like JobScan so that I can compare it against my CV.
That, I mean, you do a copy paste, put it into like a text document to Word document, and then put it back into JobScan. You can always do that.
That's what I've done. I agree. I've taken job descriptions and just copy and paste them into a Word document and then send that Word document into JobScan.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's the solution, except I always save it as a PDF. Yeah, if you copy it on, same thing, comes to the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, I do it. That's what I do too. Whenever I apply to a job or if I want the information for JobScan, I will typically do what Lily and Robert were talking about. I'll either print it out as a PDF if it looks legible when doing so. Otherwise, I will just simply copy the information into a Word document and save it and save it for my records.
And some of them force you to choose your cookies before they let you see a clear print. So you will have to deal with that at the bottom of the page and all kinds of garbage. I mean, you really do need to have the job description if you get called for the interview. Oh my gosh, to prepare for that. So I save everything.
Absolutely, I always create like a dossier of for the jobs I apply to, and it includes a copy of the job description.
Sure.
Yeah, you need to keep up with what jobs you've applied to and what you haven't, because I've lost track of that before, and then I'm like, oh my God, did I already apply to this or not? So
yes, definitely, and of course, I mean, to other places too. I have my Excel spreadsheet with lots of columns. So I have that as well.
So Rusty, does that answer your question for you?
It does. Thank you, guys.
There's no easy way to do it, I guess. You just have to sort of highlight, copy, paste it.
Yeah, you would think LinkedIn would make it a little bit easier for us folks, huh?
Yeah, well.
Jeff, real quick, is the lighting good? Can you all see me? I mean, I don't.
You're a little dark.
Okay, I'll turn on the. It's annoying to have the light on my face, so I don't.
But we can still see you. I mean,
lighting outside is. We
know who you are. Yeah, it's very dim.
On that. Okay, then I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
But
maybe at the end.
Going back to that, I do know that they say don't put the entire job description. Like they don't care. JobScan does not want you to put like all the fluff about the company and we've been here for 100 years and we've done this and that. They don't want to see that. JobScan only wants the job description. So cut and paste that and don't drag and drop the entire job description in there from what from what I've read.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've used that also, and it's pretty cool.
So let me question to follow up on that. Tell me, when you all have used JobScan, how close do you get? I mean, what's the highest number you've ever gotten when you've compared JobScan using your resume and a job description?
Mine was low. I mean, after I made a couple of corrections, it was lower than it was before I made the corrections. I mean, it went down from like 40 something to 20 something. So I don't know. I don't know what that was due to, but my score went down. So I was not happy with that.
Rusty and Nesto, when y'all have used it,
Yeah, I think probably my best has been in the high 60s.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
60s or 70s. I forget exactly how.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you just when you're using JobScan, I would say that if you're above 50, you've probably done a really good job. If you get in the 60s and 70s, you've done an excellent job. Haven't ever heard anybody who's gotten in the 80s or 90s. I guess, short of typing in the exact same job description, you're not going to be the 100, the 90s.
Jeff, the other thing I wonder about that is, especially for people that are a little bit more seasoned and have longer resumes, whether all of the extra stuff that you have in there ends up lowering your score because it's not a match algorithmically.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to reach out and see if I can try to find somebody from JobScan who'll come do a presentation.
Yeah. Going back to the saving the job description, if this might help. So when you do the print, it by default LinkedIn puts in the name of the file. And it starts with, sometimes there's a parenthesis with a number inside. Sometimes it's just the title of the job and then the name of the company is at the far end. So I go that extra step and cut the name of the company and put it at the beginning of the name space. And then I add like on LI. So I know that that's where I found the job. This has been very helpful to me. So this way I can look for the companies or organizations alphabetically, order them alphabetically. You can also do a word search in the folder, but.
Right. Okay.
LI is short for LinkedIn, of course.
Jeff, do you like JobScan? Do you put faith in that? Do you?
I think it's just a tool, it's just another tool in your tool belt.
Okay.
Another tool in the toolkit. I think it helped. The whole key, I think you have to remember when you're applying for a job online, it's all about keyword matching. It'd be really interesting, Rusty, to go and take a resume that has too much information and then eliminate a few sentences that are not in the job description. Excuse me. And then job scan it and see, did your score go up or down? Did the score go up because you took out stuff that they weren't? That'd be an interesting test to do. But for me, the whole key is you've got to have those keywords on there. And, I talk about this all the time. I mean, yesterday we did a resume presentation and I talked about, yes, everybody here has done a lot of really great things, and especially those people that are more experienced, people who've higher levels that, you've done lots of things. But if they don't ask about it in the job description, if you're applying for a job online, don't talk about it because you want to make that match as good as you can. Now, when you do actually get to talk to somebody in HR or the hiring manager, then you send them a more robust resume. But if you're filling something out online, I say keep it as simple and exact as you can to try to make that match to get that call. But just remember, when you do that, the chance of you getting a phone call off a online application is 1 to 2%. So you really got to fine tune those words where if you can find something, you've got to apply online. A lot of companies make you do that. But if you can find a way to network your way into the company and somebody can hand deliver your resume to HR or to the hiring manager, it goes up 40 to 50% chance of getting a phone call back.
That's hard to do though, finding that person.
Well, here's a story I've got from years ago, back when people read a newspaper, and I actually applied for a job in the newspaper. And I applied online, and it was a little like 5-paragraph little sentence in the paper for a job. And then as soon as I did that, I went and looked because it had the company's website on there. I looked and said, well, who do I know in that company? And I went through LinkedIn, and it just so happened I had a second-degree connection. Well, the first-degree connection that I had was a member of this group. So I contacted the person in this group. He said, oh, yeah, I know that guy. Now, this company was based in North Carolina. This guy was based in North Carolina, but this guy happened from a sales perspective. They knew each other. He reached, my contact reached out to him. He reached out to me like at 6 o'clock at night. He said, oh, I'll be glad to send your resume, pass your resume on. I sent him my resume. He sent me a text message the next morning at like 9:30, just delivered your resume. And within a half hour, that hiring manager had called me up on the phone, and we had about a half-hour conversation.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's possible. You just have to look. When you find that company name, that's why it's so real important if on LinkedIn to connect with people on groups, connect with people. It's important to just build those connections. You never know who can help.
Another thing with JobScan real quick, JobScan told me to make my sentences from the job description, like it was telling me to cut and paste to make it more exact. And I've heard other articles say that you don't want to copy paste, job description lines into your resume because it just shows them that you can copy paste. What are your thoughts on that, Jeff? Should you weave a few keywords into sentences, or JobScan was saying maybe to get my score higher, which I did and it dropped, but it was saying copy these lines exactly as they are and use those, and that's what JobScan was telling me to do, and I was kind of confused about that.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that, but I don't know. What are other people? Have you followed those instructions? Have you other comments?
I had not heard that. I've normally tried to be as close to the language as possible. So to your point earlier, Jeff, it might be interesting to run a job scan with the exact language and then run it with slightly modified language and see if your score comes back differently.
Yeah, see what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try that. All right, thank you.
Yeah. While we're on this subject, can I pivot for a second and talk about another online tool called ShareThrough, which is something that's supposed to analyze your LinkedIn headline. Has anyone used this and experimented with this?
What is it, Rusty?
So it's an online tool similar to JobScan, and it allows you to drop in your headlines for LinkedIn. And it gives you a score of your headlines in terms of sort of engagement and algorithmic strength. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and you guys can go play with it if you want to. But I'm wondering if anyone has used this and had any success.
I haven't, but I would be willing to try just to see.
All right, I just put the link in the chat window for everybody. It's called headlines.sharethrough.com.
Jeff, I'm not familiar. I haven't used JobScan, but I know that
in the early days of LinkedIn, when you were using it to do job matches and things, it asked that one of the tricks with that was to have your keywords, your important keywords, repeated as many times as possible in the key places within the LinkedIn sections. So and you might have the right keyword, but you might only have it in there once, and your score would be your ranking would be a little lower. You repeated it in lots of places, your ranking would go up. And I'm just wondering if a similar sort of thing is happening in the job scan algorithm. If you keep your keywords into as many places as possible that they're appropriate to have, that it drives your job scan score up.
That would be interesting. I know that Ruth Lipsky talks about when she talks about LinkedIn on LinkedIn Tuesdays, when she does her presentation, she says you need to have your keywords in 3 to 5 times. So you try to have once in your about statement, keywords in your about section, and then 2 to 3 times you have it in the different jobs and your experiences, mixing in those keywords so they show up. Because, I know when Kurt Vondermatter has run, who also does a LinkedIn presentation for us, and when he's showing us LinkedIn Recruiter, he'll put in a keyword, a couple keywords for his searches that he's doing. And when he does it, those keywords will get highlighted on the person's profile, and he'll see where it is. And one of the things he'll remark is, oh, it only shows up once. They have it here, but they don't list it any place in any of their jobs. So it's like he discounts it at that point if you don't carry it through and have it listed in a couple places. So keywords, very, very important, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think somebody ought to take the job description, put it in the resume section, so it's completely identical, and see how good a score comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. You can try that.
I think we need to do some experience with JobScan. I think I'm going to have to see if I can find a speaker to talk about JobScan. I think that'll be a very
oh, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll have to work on that. Rusty, talk to us more. In fact, here, let me share. I'm going to share. Let's see here. I'm going to share my screen here, and this will show us. Whoops, is it going? Here we go. So here is share through, which is how engaging is your headline. So tell us, how do you use it? I mean, Rusty, you've used it.
Yeah. So I during one of my networking calls, I was interviewing with someone from New York City, and I found out that they were similar to Terry Sullivan. They were a LinkedIn expert who taught a lot of coursework on how to optimize LinkedIn. And so they turned me onto this tool and said, hey, you might want to utilize it. And so I played with it a couple times. And what I did was drop in my current headlines that I have in there, and you just cut and paste it directly from your LinkedIn profile, including, all of the separators that you have in there, the pipes, etc. And I dropped it in there, and it gave me a score. And then I, went in and changed one or two keywords, and experimented a little bit with some more creative terms. And so sometimes you'll see people who've got some really sort of eye-catching branding in their headlines. And I'm struggling to think of something like that, but things really kind of.
I'm going to go with copy right here. So
yeah, so those are the ones that I have been using, and what I would say I struggled with is the algorithmic score that I had for the items there ended up being a little bit lower than if I eliminated one or two of those words and threw in something that was really creative, like consumer obsessed or growth monster or something like that. And so as I played with the tool, it was one of those things where I'm like, wow, I'm not sure. I feel comfortable with some of the out there language that it was giving me a higher score for. So I have to say that I've personally been a little bit of a chicken to play with this too much.
Well, I mean, you get an above average, you get 73, you get above average score for your what you've put in here.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was kind of happy with, was being above average.
Well, your engagement score is only average, but your impression score 81 above average. So
wow.
You know, so that's sort of cool. Somebody else want to put their profile in? Tell us who you'd like us to take. We'll take a look at you and see.
How about Jeff Morris?
There we go, David Carey. Hold on, this is David's. David's with us here in person. So let's call up David's. Let's pop in. We'll copy this. Control C. Oop, come here, get out of the way. So let's yeah, all right, so here is David's words. We're going to analyze. So you get a 65, which is average. Strong human connection. Increase your length. Where's your brand? Use more alert words. Let's see here. Average on engagement and impression. Okay. So there you go.
Jeff, have you ever heard of this tool before, or have any of the LinkedIn folks talked about it?
No, nobody has talked about that. In fact, I'm going to go pop mine in because I'm curious to see what mine will, I want to see what mine says.
Share through. Interestingly, it says page blocked. uBlock origin has prevented the following page from loading.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. 78. So let's see here.
Let's see your.
My engagement's not as good, but my impression score is way up. Ah, interesting. All right.
I guess my device is
interesting, you know, to go and then change a word. Just an interesting way to do that. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that program. I'll be sure to put that link in the email I put out this afternoon so everybody can go play with it and see. I think that's really, really interesting.
Awesome. Terry might like this one.
Yeah.
Anyone else was unable to get to that page? It was blocked by my.
Well, it depends on what's, you know, once again, what browser are you using? I highly recommend this to everybody. If you only have one web browser on your computer, you need to load a second or a third, because if something happens, you can be really stuck. I know that if you're using DuckDuckGo, it blocks, like I can't go to Amazon and buy something off of Amazon if I'm using DuckDuckGo. So I have to get out of DuckDuckGo and go into Firefox or Chrome. So if you don't have multiple, you should always have multiple links or multiple places on your website. I know somebody emailed me this week that Safari was blocking the Career DFW and Career USA websites. They couldn't get it. If you went to a different browser, it worked just fine.
Sharethrough.com. It says because of the following filter.
Yeah, you've got something set on your browser probably.
Maybe my Bitdefender.
Yeah, you've probably got some kind of a security feature set.
Oh, very, very much so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's the best in the market. Oh, absolutely. I don't. Oh, well, I'll look into it.
I have a question about on your resume, like on job sites, they will ask you for your employment and your education. They'll ask you, as far as in LinkedIn, they'll just ask you for the month and the year. But when you go to the company site, they want the day of the month. And if you don't put that, they won't let you go any further. Why is that, Jeff?
You know, there are over 100 different ATS systems that are out there, ATS applicant tracking systems. Every system set up a little bit different. Every system makes, you know, every system can be set up differently. It can be set up whatever they want it to do. If they want the exact dates, they want the exact dates. Hopefully on your master resume that you've got your exact dates. You know, that may be very difficult to find.
It is. And I don't have all the exact dates.
What is your, okay, that's the reason. Okay, I mean, I had to go through quite a bit of effort to find them and then immediately put it into a text file so that the next time around when I have to, all I do is go pick it up from, and I don't have to dig again. Every possible detail that you can, just keep feeding it into that file so that
that's what I've done, is put it in everything I can into a text file. But there are some, like I have an education block that the school closed already. And I mean, there's no way for me to find out anything. I've tried calling the school and the university that they were connected to, and they said, we can't give you any information. That was too long ago. And it's you know, they closed already.
I would in that case, I would probably just put down the first day of the month. You know, I mean, that would be fine. Put down.
Or maybe better last day, so they won't accuse you of lying.
Right. 31st or the third, you know, make sure 28 or something, just, you know, the last day. But then maybe even put in the comment field or in the, you know, the description field or whatever, you know, starting date, ending date, exact day of the month unknown.
Yeah. I don't see why they would even care about the day of the month.
Yeah, it's just the way the system's set up, you know. So some do care, some don't care. The only people I know who really, really care about exact dates is the Texas Workforce Commission, or whatever your local workforce commission is.
Yeah.
I know that I knew what my exact date was of leaving, but apparently the company reported a different last date. And we had to, you know, 2 weeks of going back and forth going, well, this was the date I have on my letter. Here's what my letter says. And, you know, the company is telling you the wrong information. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. So,
yeah, like children's
have been the only people that have ever really cared about that exact date. A company has never, ever cared.
Well, children's does, and Baylor Scott and White does. Okay. So it must be becoming more popular, because I had to go through that, and I just put down a random day. I didn't know what else to do.
Right. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else can we answer for somebody?
Jeff?
Yes.
I just wanted to comment quickly, address it directly actually to Lily. I just checked the share through thing, and I also got the uBlock origin filter stop. But on mine, there is an option on the page to proceed and go on through that filter block. Be sure you have the later version of uBlock installed.
Okay.
Because that may be affecting it, because I get the same thing, but I get like I said, a button to just keep going and ignore the block.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
And I'm using Firefox. I don't know if that makes a difference about how
the Chrome
block origin and the browser interact, but that's what's going on with me.
Chrome usually works well everywhere, but I also use Firefox. But when that doesn't work, I'll get out Chrome, and I can usually get into whatever was giving me troubles.
I've never had a problem with Firefox except with one website 10 years ago, and I have a note in my file somewhere that says don't use Firefox, but then that's gone away now, so it works well everywhere for me.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things, you know, building websites and building the 2 websites I've got, you know, one of the important things we have to do is test it out on different platforms. Just because if we're building it on Firefox or Chrome doesn't mean it's going to work on Bing, or because it's not going to work on DuckDuckGo. So You know, it's one of the things that when people build websites, many people don't test on other platforms. They just figure, oh, if it works on what I'm using, it'll work on everybody.
Oh.
There are some testing softwares are out there that you can load up this software program and it just has all the different buttons, and you click, you know, cell phone and different formats, different, you know, so you can see different variations of screen resolutions and different font or different formats, just to see what will happen on different programs. But a lot of people don't use that when they're building websites.
Oh, wow.
It's not as common anymore, just because new websites today are built on a content management system that are pretty much universal. Back in the old day when people were hard coding websites, that's when there will always be issues with, you know, what program they were using.
Yeah.
That was a problem. All right, what else can we answer for somebody?
Somebody's got a hand up.
Hand, where do I see a hand? Alexandra.
Good morning, everyone. I just had it's not really a question. I was just curious, do y'all have any tips or tricks of when you actually have a live feed, which my computer's still being dumb. I apologize for that. I've been trying to get my video to work for 4 weeks now. Sometimes it has and sometimes it doesn't. But my point is how do y'all not fidget when you're on camera? Obviously, when you're in like one of these meetings or you're in an interview, you don't want to be distracting or anything like that. So I was just curious. Yes, exactly.
Practice. I think it's practice, really.
Yeah, practice, practice, practice. I mean, one of the things that I do, I don't have it on my computer here, on my laptop, but on my desktop at home, I have a big smiley face that I put around my, right next to my lens, next to the camera, just to remind myself that this is where I need to look.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's when you get really good at it, then you can get yourself on, you can become a news reporter on TV because you remember.
Oh, Alexander, if I could just add to that, I actually coach people or have coached people on doing video training. And one of the things that we talk about is think about where your hands are. And if you can kind of practice keeping your hands in a place while you're talking or while you're listening, just to make sure that you're not like rubbing your face or running your hand through your hair, you get some pretty interesting videos when you get really casual and you videotape yourself. In fact, I think that's a great way to go, is just get a video. You can actually use Zoom to do this. Okay. A lot of public domain software you can download and just video yourself, especially if you're practicing interview questions. You'll get a really good insight into how you appear on camera and some things that you might do. Like if you're answering a question and you find you're looking up at the ceiling trying to find an answer and it looks a little strange, well, that's a good thing to practice is what am I going to do if I start to feel that temptation to look up? And what am I doing with my hands as I'm speaking? Now, what's funny is if you look around, you'll notice that all of a sudden everybody's being really careful about what they're doing with their hands and how they're looking at the camera, which is great. As soon as you bring awareness to that kind of thing, it becomes a thing. But I think just like Lily said, practice is going to be really important. I think getting some feedback from videotaping yourself is another great way to do it. The other thing that I would do is I would pay attention to the environment that you're in. If you have a lot of distractions around you, then it's easy to go, oh, you know what, there's that book I was going to read, or, oh, I need to remember to do that. That's my to-do list over there. All those kind of things can pull your attention away and cause you to look like you're not focused because you're actually not. And so I would videotape and then I would just be aware of what you're doing.
Okay.
I have a question for you. Do you normally fidget?
I didn't think so, but yesterday was like one of the rare times that my video camera actually worked properly. And I realized how many times I flipped my hair or scratched my face or, just kind of shifted in my seat or, whatever it was. And I went, oh my gosh.
Is that the way you normally behave? Do you do that whether you're looking at the camera or not?
Oh, it's because of nervousness, maybe?
It's
that's what you
possible.
normally do. Do you do that when you're talking to your friends?
I will have to definitely think about that one and consider that.
I mean, some of it just might be that's how you do it, and that's you. On the other end, I think fidgeting is a result. It's a result of stress and anxiety and those kinds of things. So getting comfortable with what you're doing will reduce your fidgeting. So that's the practicing and all that. Because, when people come to the workshop, I do not expect anyone to do a superb job at all. There's no preparation. There's nothing. You just come and we're going to learn. And once we kind of get into it and the people start getting and talking and then get relaxed a little bit, things change and it's just more comfortable. So if you're fidgeting because of stress, then we want to remove the stress and that'll reduce the fidgeting.
Okay. I've been wanting to sign up for your workshop. I just haven't. I'm still fine tuning at exactly what it is that I'm searching for and what I want to apply for. And I felt like I wasn't quite ready for your workshop.
That is the only prerequisite. You have to have a job focus. So you can pick something just for the practice of the workshop. It can be any job that you might want or something like that. And we'll just use that as the practice. It doesn't have to be the exact thing you're looking for.
Perfect.
By the way, David Carey was on the panel for my very first practice panel interview through the pit crew. I don't know, David, if you remember. Along with.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you may want to consider is like if you have a stress ball or squeezy ball, maybe you get it and that's what you keep, so your hands don't move up to your face because you have something to put in your hands. You keep it out of the view of the screen. So
but if you're also having facial expression,
right now,
in case that's going on along with it, then you don't want that.
The other thing I've also heard is that when you answer somebody's question online, always look at the camera. It's okay when you're listening to their question to look down because, it's very common. You want to see what they're saying because a lot of us, we don't realize how much lip reading we do, but we do a lot of that. When people wear masks, it's like it's harder to understand exactly what somebody's saying. So, we're used to looking down. So I think it's okay that in an interview session, that if the other person is talking, if you're looking down or if you're taking notes, that's fine. Just make sure that when you're answering that question, you're looking directly at the little green light on your laptop or, whatever wherever the camera is, be sure to look directly there while you're talking.
Awesome. You just answered my next question about the notes. So that's great.
I don't think we can look to the camera 100% of the time. We just can't do that because when we're talking to people and we are trying to think of something, we're going to look away. We're going to break eye contact. That's just a normal bodily function. And yes, I think you can take David's training and you can reduce some of that and do that. But nonetheless, neuro-linguistic programming, if you look at that, you're accessing different areas of the brain. If you look up, left, down, left, up, right, down, right, all those kind of things. And when I took that, all it did for me was to tell me that when people are not looking at me, they're thinking, don't interrupt. And that's all I learned from that. So to help me be more effective in communications, but we're going to look away and that is going to, don't worry about it. Because if you try not to look away when you normally do it, unless you're practiced and trained to do it, then it's not going to work. So relax.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Good question.
Just one other comment on that, Jeff. Nothing profound, just, our society doesn't really promote and anything about stillness and quietness. It's a very active go environment that we're almost always in. But to your point, Alexandra, get to kind of following up on what was said earlier. Maybe find a time and a place where you can just be by yourself, just sit quietly and focus on you, and then think about how you act in that environment when you are just you by yourself. And that will kind of help you establish what your baseline is of how your actions and things are. And then you can see how that goes when you're in other groups. How much is that pulling you away from how you think you normally are?
Great suggestion, Glenn. Thank you.
All right. What else can we answer for somebody? Good questions today. Everybody gets a gold star for today. What else can we answer?
I want to jump in and thank Rusty for the thanks that he posted on LinkedIn. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Rusty.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Walt. Jeff, can I share another possible tool for folks while we're talking about presenting and speaking? See, I'm using my hands here like I would if I were behind a podium. I had to give a lecture at University of Texas in the spring this year to the marketing department. And I was doing PowerPoint, and there is a new feature that I discovered in PowerPoint that allows you to rehearse, will record your speech, and it will rate you based on your language and the speed that you're doing. So as you're shaping your star stories that you're doing, if you want to understand how those are coming across, you could perhaps use that new tool that's in PowerPoint. I know I've been practicing with it.
And what's the name of the tool?
Well, it's in one of the drop-down menus in PowerPoint, and it's something like practice or review or record. I'll try and go into it when we move on here and see if I can locate the actual function.
Wow, that's interesting.
Hey, I'll call up PowerPoint right now so we can take a look. Let's see here. Share screen. All right. So let's see here. Y'all can see that. So we're thinking, let me move this out of the way.
Maybe try review. I'm not sure because I've got an iOS-based version.
Review, spelling.
Smart lookup, show comments, compare. I'm not seeing it there. While you're scanning, I'm going to try and pull it up on mine as well.
Yeah, if you find it, I'll be glad to show it. Oh, here, the record slideshow. Would this be?
That might be it. Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, it's gray. I mean, I can't do it right now, probably because well, it's because I've got the screen set up, on my other screen set up. I'm in the middle of one, so I can't really.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's the one that I would try.
All right. Yeah, if you find it, let us know. I'll let you share. You can share your screen. Go here to security. Your screen. Yep, if you happen to find it. All right. What else can we answer for somebody?
Is it okay to use these artificial backgrounds in an interview, like I see a lot of people have? Is that kosher, or is that like the interview that I was in, the Zoom interview that I was in, I got up against a wall, because I was afraid of what it was going to look like. But do people use those?
I can address that.
Okay.
As long as your background is not distracting, you're okay.
Okay.
All right. You can do multiple things, but if you're going to be close to your set of library books in the background, I'm going to try to read the titles of the books. And so if you got the palm tree waving at the seashore, then that's very distracting. So
okay,
you can do both. You can do a background. You can blur it with a background too. That's a nice feature that you might want to use. But whatever it is that doesn't cause distraction, because if there's something going on, and that touching your face and touching your hair, that is very, very distracting. So.
Mm-hmm.
those kind of movements. But if you wave your hands and that's the way you talk and that's the way you do it, then that's what you do. All right. Don't worry about it. Be yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at people's backgrounds here, like Ernesto's background, he's in his in a room, he's got a couple doors behind him. Nice, plain, simple, works great. Glenn, you can't really read the books on his bookshelf. There's some books back there, but plain background. Lily's up against the wall. Jane's got some stuff back there that I would be looking in detail to see what she's got behind her. Rusty's put on the.
I take it down before meetings and interviews because it's too distracting. Yep.
Okay. Rusty's he just blurred his background, which I think is fine. I think it emphasizes when you use a background, you have to be very careful because when I put you see what happens to my hand over here.
Right.
Doing that. So if you're going to use a background, you've got to make sure that if you're using your hands, you keep them within your shoulders. That whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to talk about, that you keep here, because if you get up here, you can get those goofy artifacts around your ears and hair and everything.
Okay.
You just gave me an idea. I did blur my background and you can't really see the shadow as much as you can over here when I don't blur it.
Your screen's lighter too right now also. You're much lighter than you were, so it looks better now than it did.
No, this is the original. Now I've blurred it.
Well, she turned her light on so we could see.
Oh, you turned your light on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't even see myself otherwise, so I had to do that. But anyway, that's another tip. I mean, see, because this is without blurring, so you're seeing that shadow. Whereas now I blur it. Oops, okay. Now with blurring, this blurred shadow, I guess. So it's nicer actually. I'll remember that.
So yeah, so just makes a difference. Yeah, Rusty.
Jeff, I found that feature in PowerPoint. Is that something that I can share on the screen?
Screen, go ahead. I've got it set up so you can share screen.
Okay. Let me just. Okay. I'm starting. You guys seeing it?
Not yet. Here we go. It's coming. And
okay, so this is PowerPoint that I have up on the right side, and I'm using an iOS version that's web-based. And if I go over here to the right-hand side and I click there's a feature called Rehearse with Coach. Oh. And if I click on that, it starts a session where I can do my practice. And it's analyzing what I'm saying right now. It's recording everything that I'm saying to you. And then when I get done, let's see, I'm going to stop it and end session. And then it generates a report for me. And it gives me information on how inclusive, what kind of fillers, was I doing a lot of ums and uhs and, not using the right language. But yeah, so that's what the tool looks like.
All right, so we know it's in iOS. What version do you know? What version of iOS or what version of PowerPoint are you using? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Office
Jeff,
365 should have it. I mean, they have all the latest stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, maybe search under Help Rehearse with Coach if you can't find it.
Okay. Very interesting for all you Apple people out there. And maybe it's in the new version of, it was the latest version of the PC version.
And you know what? A few years ago, we didn't need all this stuff and we did just fine.
That's true. All right, what else can we answer for somebody? This has been great today. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm gonna shift gears just a little bit. I'm a big believer in networking over trying to fool the ATS. One of the comments that I heard recently was that during the month of December, that it's important to change your strategy on LinkedIn and not do as many cold outreach to people that you want to meet. So if you've got your target companies, you're trying to identify people. And the reason for that was that if your response rate drops below 40%, that LinkedIn may penalize your account. And what I'm curious about is if anybody's heard that, or what experience have people had if they're out there trying to network on LinkedIn. Have you taken that advice and kind of tailored it off for the holidays, since people may not be as responsive? And I'll just be curious to hear what people's experiences are.
Anyone?
Well, I'll just share that what I'm seeing lately is kind of a drop off in recruiter outreach. And so I've been responding by doing a lot more proactive outreach myself. David, it's hard for me to tell exactly if my numbers are dropping because of the algorithm right now, but I have a goal to try and find 5 new recruiters within my industry every week and establish initially a LinkedIn relationship and then connect that back to an email relationship and a phone call. So I've been doing that. I'm finding that I've worked through a huge number of the recruiters in my industry. So if I think about going after boutique recruiters in X area and Y area, I've kind of gone through many of them, both here in Texas and in the US. And so I'm feeling that those numbers are dropping. And whether that's just because I'm through all the good ones or it's because of the algorithm, I don't know.
I wonder also maybe a strategy during the month of December, instead of trying to reach out to new people that you've not met, would be to reach out to people you maybe haven't talked to in the past year.
Yeah.
Wishing them a happy Thanksgiving. Hope they have a good holiday period. What have you been up to the last year? That maybe, if you connect with those people you already know and do that during the month of December, it's a great opportunity to twofold. Number one, you're catching up with old colleagues. And number two, you're putting yourself out there. You're still making those contacts, which you never know may help you.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff. That's absolutely going to be my strategy this month, is revisiting my lists.
There's something interesting going on today, and that is I continue to see a heavy reliance on technology, which I don't think we need a lot of that reliance. Get you an accountability group, practice your stuff in front of a group, have them give you feedback, making the connections and contacts with people, helping people out, those kind of things. I can spend all day looking at the technology and figuring something out. Now, it might be some usefulness, but I would not spend the majority of my time in the technology. I would spend it more in the connections with people. I know that it used to be really great to have an accountability group. We meet every week. We talk about what we're trying to accomplish, what we did last week, what we want to accomplish this week, get feedback, help one another. That was so much better than all the rest of this stuff that we're talking about. So yeah, you can do some of that, but please don't get caught up and so that you spend all day with PowerPoint figuring out, spend an hour and drop it and go into something that's more productive. Just one old guy's opinion.
Well, and remember, we had a speaker a couple months ago on a networking thing, talking about networking, and her whole thing was, you already know everybody you need to know. So reach out to those people, go through your cell phone, find somebody maybe you haven't communicated with in the last 12 months or last 6 months. Go look up, find it. Do you have a picture of the two of you all? And send a picture of the two of you. Hey, remember when we did this? Or just reaching out, hope you're having a good holiday period or something. Reach back out to those people that are in your cell phone without trying to go into LinkedIn or something else. And if you can find an old picture, just today, I have a nephew who just had a birthday, and I had birthday wishes this morning. And I haven't communicated with him since the last time I saw him, which has probably been 8 or 9 months, but he responded back. So, send those, go through your phone, find those text messages or people you may have a contact with, and do that. I know that, when you all reach out to me on my phone, I go and I add you into my phone so that I know next time not to let you go to voicemail that, I'll actually pick up the phone and talk to you. So, I add you all when you all call.
Yeah, the day I used directions on the map to go to a place where I already know how to get there, it was a big awakening to me. I said, "Why are you doing this?"
Yeah. All right, what else can we answer for somebody? Questions.
I have a question. What is your biggest concern about job search?
Not getting one.
Not getting a job, not getting.
He said the biggest concern. Yeah, the biggest concern. That's definitely mine.
I would say I worry about my family a little bit. I'm approaching the 12-month mark here, and I can see that my wife has frustration, and she's been pretty patient, but continuing to go back and tell her to hang in there, and that things will come in good time. That gets a little old. So that's been a challenge, a fear, a concern.
It's hard to deal with. Yeah, I've also observed that I seem to have more patience than people around me. It's taking me patience dealing with that. And there's the one woman in this building who says, "Oh, every situation, as soon as they see that you haven't worked for so long," her son owns a business and is of that mindset, that if you don't have a job, you're a loser or something. It's ridiculous.
Well, one day he'll be unemployed and he'll figure it out.
I doubt it. No, he has his own business, and I know that mentality.
Right.
Yeah, it will happen. You will get a job, and think that so it doesn't show through when you interview that you're saying, "Oh, maybe will I get this one?" I just had an interview 2 days ago, and they said spoke very well and you were very professional. So thanks to all the practice. And even watching the practice interviews, learned so much.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Anything else we can answer for anybody? Anybody else question you'd like to know about? Question you've got about your job search? Don't slow down during the month of December. Do not slow down. Keep going. You got to remember now, especially the last 2 weeks, even, the week before Christmas, the week between Christmas and New Year's, lots of executives are still in the office because they're letting their support staff take time off. And you may have an easier time reaching out to people. Things are slowing down. Job seekers are stopped or not looking for jobs like they used to right now. They figure, oh, it's Thanksgiving. I need to wait till January. Be active, stay active, keep doing things, keep reaching out. Real important.
I guess I have one situation since we have time. So I had this virtual interview with the hiring manager, and it was very positive. And he said, "I'm sending you a link to do an exercise that's kind of to test me for a technical skill for Python, I guess." And so in the meanwhile, I was moving in another direction and I totally ignored it. It's like a month, but I still want to do him the courtesy of, replying his email and saying, "Thank you for that, but I'm not pursuing this now. I'm going in a different direction." Is it better to just keep quiet or something? Just think and there's no way I'll make things up. I have no excuse really for not responding. What do you suggest?
Any suggestions, anybody?
my thought is that, yeah, you just send a short message and tell him just what you said. He's probably already, may well have just already kind of written you off anyway.
I did get an email a couple of days ago that we are considering another candidate, and I applaud their patience because the interview went really well.
Well, there's an invitation to respond to that. You have an immediate invitation from him to use as an excuse to respond to him and say thanks. But I also am considering other possibilities for where I want to go. So, just, it doesn't have to be an elaborate response, just something that acknowledges that he took both of those steps to say something to you. And that,
no, the second one was auto-generated. It wasn't from him, but I can say confidently it went well, because during the interview, he said, well, if not this one, this is such a large company, we might find you another spot, a different spot. So I think.
Well, we complain, you hear it all the time in job search world, about, recruiters and companies ghosting candidates and candidates ghosting. It's not fair.
Just, I don't want to. But
if nothing else, it's just good manners to do it.
Exactly.
That's kind of something that at least in recent time anyway, our society just kind of downgrades just a little bit and doesn't recognize or keep in mind how useful that can be. So
really it's my fault. I mean, that's fine. I'll tell him what I said, but what took you so long to come back and tell me you didn't want to pursue this? So, I mean,
don't think it through. Don't think it too hard like that. Just give the direct response. The odds are that he's going to look at that and say, "Oh, who is this person?" And he might not respond, and he may not respond at all. I have the same problem of trying to think through all the possible scenarios of how things can go. At some point, you just pick one and go with it and do what it does. And the polite thing would just be to give him neighborly thing would just be to give him a response and say thanks.
Yeah, at least closure from my side. I think, really courtesy. I do need to do that, but just to know how to word it.
No, I think
I'm not going to cook up a story. I'm no way saying, oh, this will, no, I won't say things that didn't happen. No, I'm not doing that.
No, I think you go ahead and fill out the questionnaire or whatever the little test was, whatever, go ahead and do it and just go, I know, the position that we talked about is no longer available.
I'm not interested in it.
Oh, you're not even? Well,
no, I'm not. Yeah. And that's why I blew it off, because I don't want to do that. I can't hear you.
But you just give him a thanks, but I'm not going this direction anymore. I mean, he's already you've gotten the response, the automated response that they're going a different direction.
Yeah.
Just a one or two short sentences to say thanks, but
I did receive the reject email,
and I'm going a different direction. That's really all is needed.
Okay.
Yeah, Lily, I would just add this, and this is something that as a hiring manager, I'd been a hiring manager for quite a number of years. You don't typically have a lot of contact with people that have been sort of eliminated from the hiring process. I think it's a good thing for all of us to think about a process that we're going to implement that aligns with our values, aligns with our motivations. And to me, when somebody has interviewed you and they've given you some consideration, it's never a bad thing to just a quick message and say, hey, thank you for your time. I got the information that you're moving in a different direction. Just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate this. And if there's something that you can elaborate in there, say, this is something that I learned from the experience, or this is something I learned about the organization. Or if you just want to have, and I would look at it the same way that I look at when I get a rejection letter from a company and it says, even though you were amazingly qualified and a fantastic candidate, we've decided to go another direction. I know that it doesn't matter what my qualifications are. I could have flunked kindergarten and I'm probably going to get that same rejection email. If you need to create something like that you can just copy and paste so that when you don't feel like it, you're not happy about it, maybe you feel like the company messed you around and you had a lot of hope and energy built into it, copy, paste it, send it. That way it's done. And that way the hiring manager walks away with a positive feeling. I will just take a couple of seconds and share an experience that I had where for different reasons, we moved forward from a candidate that was pretty well qualified, but we did have other candidates that were more qualified. He sent me a follow-up thank you note, and then he called me. And I can tell you, as a hiring manager, you don't really like to get calls from people that were rejected, because you always worry, am I about to get boxed into a situation where they're going to accuse us of something? Is there going to be some legal issue that I'm not going to be aware of? You know, typically a lot of recruiting agencies or recruiting departments will tell managers, do not have any conversation with a candidate that doesn't go through us or that we don't know about. But in this case, because he'd sent a thank you note, he said, you don't have to answer this question, but he said, any feedback that you could provide for me that would be helpful moving forward, I'd really appreciate. And so I asked him to give me some time to think about it, because he called sort of in the middle of another project. And I called him back the next day, and I shared a couple of things that I thought were opportunities for him. And he sent me another email thanking me for the feedback. So we've actually stayed connected on LinkedIn, and he hasn't, I mean, I would say that, you know, he's one of those people that, as I'm thinking about people I should probably reach out to, I probably should send him a message, because we've stayed up with each other. That doesn't always happen, but it will not happen if you don't have any follow-up communication with somebody that took some time with you through an interview process.
Right. I mean, not just about what it's going to, how it's going to benefit me, but it's just bugging me that I didn't do him the courtesy of writing, and I want to now.
Well, there's an opportunity here, not only to, you know, to say thank you, give them a compliment of something that they did during the interview, because the interviewers never get compliments about anything. Very strong differentiation. You know, generally, if you say, thank you for taking the time to talk with me, that's what everybody says. All right. So it's not, you just don't want to leave it at that. You want to add something. And then there's another thing you can add too. Do you know anywhere or know someone where my skills might be of value? And they might can become a connection for you to point you to another opportunity that does fit. All right. So they immediately become a networking connection in that kind of conversation. So think about that.
Yeah, Rusty, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Walt has said. I've got this situation today. I was contacted by a hunter yesterday via text message, said he had a great role, and set up a phone call for today. I got the job description last night. It's not the right fit. And I thought about just canceling it. But then I thought, how do I turn this into a win-win for both of us? And so I'm going to keep the phone call, and I'll share with him up front that I don't think it's the right role, but I'm going to steer him to some people that might be the right fit for him, and how can I help you, and kind of pay it forward. And I'm going to feel good about that. He hopefully will feel good about that. And the people that I steer him to hopefully will feel good about that as well. And it will only take me, 15 or 20 minutes to do that. And that's what I feel comfortable doing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you're helping the interviewer and helping other candidates or the people you know. That's great. Anybody else? Any other last questions before we end? Going once, going twice? All right. Well, nobody has anything else. Let me just share a few more slides. We'll get out of here. Just a reminder, next Friday, our speaker will be Minna Brown. This is going to be the session that she did this summer about the one-page bio. So please come join us again next week. I think if you don't have a bio, this is a great presentation. It's just really valuable. And Minna's a really, really good speaker. So come join us next Friday. If you have not put your information into the chat window, we don't know you're with us today. You won't get our email this afternoon. So please put in your name, phone, email address, position you're looking for, 2 or 3 target companies, and hit the return key. I will put an email out this afternoon when I get home after we go to lunch, and we will get this information out to everybody so that we can try to, see who else is on the list you can help. I also will use this to update the roster. So if I don't know you're here today, I won't know to get you added to the list. All right, Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us. Next Tuesday, LinkedIn, how to present yourself like a pro. Every Tuesday we do a LinkedIn seminar. This will be my presentation I'm doing. This is a warm-up. I happen to give this presentation to a group out of the New Jersey area in January. So you all get to hear this. This will be sort of my warm-up session. Wednesday, Interviewing Wednesdays. We're going to talk about difficult interviewers, questions, and how to cultivate confidence. So that's next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And then next Thursday at 1 o'clock, being the second Thursday of the month, knockout approaches to networking. This is with Michael Goldberg. He sort of had the boxing approach to, how do you knock out the, how do you knock out the method behind it? So it's a really interesting presentation. It's really sort of fun to listen to. So come join us next Thursday for that. This session has been recorded. You will be able to go back and watch it on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, be sure to click on playlist, because if you don't, there's like 420, 430 videos up there right now. Playlist, there's only 7. So this will make it easy for you to go back and watch something. Click whichever playlist you'd like to do, and then down below, pick the list that you want, and down below, instead of clicking on the video, where the red arrow is, and it says View Full Playlist, and then up will come a list of all the different topics and titles in chronological order. You can go back and watch any of those that you want. Just remember, if you're watching any of them from the North Dallas Focus Group, you probably want to, the speaker won't start until about 30 minutes into the presentation. If you'd like to eat lunch today, well, hopefully you do want to eat lunch today, come join us at Country Burger, 3115 West Parker Road, Plano, Texas, 75073. Northwest corner of Parker and Independence. They've got burgers, salads, and more. 11:45 this morning. We'd love to see you there. So thank you for joining us today, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thank you for your great comments. And I thought today was a great open forum, lots of great questions, lots of great direction where we went. And have a great weekend, and we'll see everybody next week.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for volunteering your
Thank you.
time. Thank you so much.